Good afternoon. This is Dave, and we're going to throw something new at you this afternoon. And it's in response to a lot of noise I've been hearing about how people can't draw, and so we're gonna get into that a little bit. So get my phone set in place here. Maybe. All right, so what I've got here is junk mail, envelopes, things that I pull out of the recycle bin, and I only need one side, so if one side's got information on it, it doesn't matter. But we're going to draw a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about drawing. And if you say you can't draw, my first thought is you need a remedial course in preschool or kindergarten, because that's where you learn to draw. So if you didn't pick it up then, likely you're not going to pick it up as an adult. But it's basically, this thing I'm holding in my hand here is called a pencil. Be surprised how many people forget what these are called. But anyway, it's just a matter of holding it in your hand, putting the pointed end onto a piece of paper, and moving it around. And it makes a mark on the paper. And that's drawing. That's all it is. Now, the difference between drawing something and just scribbling is knowing what you're going to draw in your head. So hands are tools of the mind. They only do what the mind knows to tell them to do. So I'm going to work on something that I do a lot this time of year, and I do a lot of it on recycled stuff. And I know a professional should have a sketchbook, but I use a lot of envelopes and scrap paper that would otherwise just get thrown out. I don't feel like I have to do anything special when it's scrap paper. If I'm working in a sketchbook, I'm more obligated to do something decent, because I'm not going to be ripping pages out of it. So if I'm working on a head, and in particular this time of year, Santa's come to mind. So we start with an oval like we do for any other head. And the oval has an eye line about halfway down. This is just a straight on view of a head. And a center line halfway between the eye line and the chin, bottom of the nose. So we kind of know where everything's supposed to sit. If I want to put a nose on here, I can just kind of put one in there like so. And I'm working with pencil right now. When I get something halfway decent, I'm going to dress it up with a little bit of ink. So putting a hat on Santa, I don't want my Santas to be the same as everybody else's. I want to come up with something new, something different, something unique, kind of each time I do one. So this is how I practice to get ready for it. So it's kind of the magic behind the scenes for wood carvers. So if I'm going to put a hat on his head, the hat, and if I don't want it to be straight, I can put a little tilt to it. If it's tilting off that way, then the hat itself is probably going to drift off to this side. How long you want the tail of this to be and where you want the tassel to come is up to you. You can kind of put in a mustache here and work down to a beard. And we've got the rudimentary start of a Santa. So depending on what you want to work on, each time I do these, I pick a subject that I want to have different and something I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on the whole head. I don't want to focus on the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the beard and the mustache and the hat. I want to pick one. So when I get ready to do something like this, I'll take a blank piece of scrap paper and I'll put a number of ovals on here. And if you want to make a little template to do that, you can, but these don't have to be accurate. And this is just a plain old number 2 pencil. And I'm just repeating this oval over and over. And once I get those ovals on there, I put my layout lines on it. And this is the way I do it. Not everybody would do it this way, but you can pick something you want, and if you don't get the line in the right place, do it again. Take an eraser, get rid of the bad one. At some point in time, if you do enough of this, you might want to go out and invest 50 cents in a art gum eraser, just a rubber eraser to clean up the drawings that you're working on. So once we get all these ovals, I got 6 of them here. So let's say I want to work on hats, and I want to do different hats. I don't know what kind of hat I want to do, but most Santa hats have a little fur around the edge of them, and then a little top knot up above. The top knot may be tall. You may put the pom-pom way up high, and then get a bent hat coming down. You might want to just leave the palm here and have the hat bent over. Let's see, where else could we put it? We can put the like the first one we did, we can put the palm down here. So you can see I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm not making anything clean and nice. I'm just focusing on hats. I don't need to worry about anything else. And I want each hat to be different. So maybe I won't make as big a band on this hat. Make it more about the hat itself. And maybe it only comes down a little bit. And maybe there isn't a palm on it. And then we could have one going off to the other side, just doing something different. But the hat has to fit on the head. So underneath the hat, I've got room for eyebrows. The eyes would go down here on the eye line, of course. And a whole host of other things. Now, when it comes to the mustache, we might just have a traditional upturned mustache. We might have a mustache that is downturned. We might have a mustache that is kind of angled. We might have a mustache that is, who knows, maybe we could just kind of give it, I almost was thinking of a little Hitler type mustache, but I don't want to do that. We could do something that has, I've seen a lot of crafty Santas that have big old mustaches like this on them. So, I mean, we can just play around with a wide variety of different mustaches. And then we can come down to the beard and how we want to deal with the hair. So the beard's going to come off from up here just above the mustache. And then how long you want that beard to be is entirely up to you. And maybe you want the hair to come down like this. You study what other people do. Some people have just, the hair and the beard become all in one. You may have a beard and mustache combination that comes down and has a little more flow to it. A lot of my Santas that I carve end up being like that. But there's just no, you don't have to have a long beard. You can have shorter beards on some of them. But just a wide variety of different stuff. And then we'll talk about what we do with all of this. Let's see, I got another mustache over here. Maybe we'll just make it more angular. And make his beard angular as well. So we got all these different, just playing around with ideas. And if you've got something that you think you like and you want to hang on to, we can come in here with this just happens to be a uniball Signo. Right now is a good time to go to Walmart and get your pens because they got school supplies up the yin yang. But I'm just going to come down here and go over what I did with the pencil. If I've got a lot of texture in the fur of the pom-pom, I want to repeat that texture in the band of the hat too. Coming down from here. And again, the reason I'm just kind of using scrap paper, in this case the back side of an envelope that was going into the recycle bin, is that I don't have to be at all concerned with quality. It's just about coming up with something that's a little bit different. Put a big bag under this eye and kind of a squinty eye with leave a little white in the middle. And let's see, maybe coming down here we can break the beard up a little bit. So if you're loose and free and it's just stuff that's going to end up in the trash anyway, sometimes you can surprise yourself with what you come up with. And each time you do one of these, you're building on what you have done before. You're just playing around with some basic ideas, not really putting a lot into it, but these are just ideas that will maybe become a carving at some point in time. And anybody can do this. There's no such thing as, oh, I don't know how to draw. It's all about what you know. You know you're going to start off with and I use a pencil first. First time I used a number 2 pencil. And the reason I don't always use a number 2, I use a number 2 pencil because I've got a lot of them around. But when you get done and you come in and remove the pencil, all you end up with is your ink line. And the pencil told you where to put it. So you look like you ended up with a halfway decent piece. Now when I took the pencil lines off, it looks like, well, I could do something with his eye. I don't know if I necessarily want to or not, but and if it gets screwed up, it doesn't matter. It was headed for the garbage anyway. So what I've got here is not a number 2. This is actually a 6H, which is a harder pencil. It makes a lighter line. So when you put your heads down, they're going to be easier to erase. It's dark enough to see, but that's about it. It's always important to put things where they belong. So you don't just sit there and play around with details. It's just a matter of quickly getting things where they belong and then play around with maybe I'll just play around with beards. I don't want to worry about a hat. Just concerning myself primarily with the beard. Something like that. Something like that. And I don't know where this is going to go, and I'm just playing around, quick sketches. Just kind of let the pencil go where it wants to go and let things happen. Now I got 1, 2, 3, I got 5 different beards here. A mustache that might go with it. One like this. Might get a mustache that's like this. And I know the mustache is in the right place. This is the chin. I could put a little bit of a lip there, but it's getting down really close to the chin. So the thicker the mustache is, the less you're going to see a lip underneath. And anybody can do this. Anybody. You just got to be free and loose and play around. And there's 5 heads, and we can come back now and decide, well, I want to put a hat on it, but I don't know what kind of hat to use. Well, I got 6 hats up here. I can just take one of these hats and say we're going to put one of those on one of these heads here. So let's pick that one over there. Now when I made the hat, I didn't make it symmetrical. I don't care. I really don't care if it's symmetrical right now. Maybe when I carve it, I'll be more concerned with that, but that asymmetrical hat shape may be just the key. If I want him to smile, I can pull this up a little bit more here and a little bit more there. And I can put some folds coming out of the eyes. And I don't even usually use a pencil when I do those. I usually come in here and just kind of, this is his cheek here. That's what's going to create those folds in his eye. And just dress this up a little bit. So this is really all there is to it. You know, it just bothers me to hear people saying, oh, I can't do that, I can't draw. Well, you can put one of these instruments, a pen or a pencil, on a piece of paper and move it. The only thing you need to know is what direction to move it in. So if you don't know what direction to move it in, that's because you don't know your subject. Simple, simple. Reverts back to preschool, reverts back to kindergarten, and this is all it takes to create Santa heads that would work really well for any kind of a Christmas ornament. Now, the only problem with doing them on scrap recycled paper is that when you get done, they're all over the place. And they get easily lost, easily misplaced. So I'm constantly finding things laying around and saying, you know what, maybe I just throw them away because I didn't use them, and oh, wait a minute, there's an idea I might want to keep. But you can get yourself a sketchbook too. They sell these at Michael's. They sell them at, this is a mixed media, so you can put some washes and inks on them and stuff. But I use these a lot for classes and when I'm teaching. But I recently broke down and spent all of $14 to get one of these sketchbooks. This is called a Moleskin. You find them on Amazon. It's got kind of thin paper, but I've been playing around with this one for the last week, and they're kind of cool. It's not very big. It's only 5 and something by 8.5 or something like that. But when you open it up, you've got 8.5 by 11 sheet. So you can turn it sideways, and you can see that I've repeated Santas. And in this area, I was working kind of the hats and then the beards. And then if we see, I got 3 heads I didn't finish off here yet. Turned the page and played around with some other stuff. Came back with colored pencils and filled them in. Washes and watercolors don't work real good on this, but you can just exaggerate and play around and get really carried away. Here I used a pear shape, a peanut, an apple, triangle, circle, square, hex nut, eggplant, and pumpkin, and tried to make each of those into a Santa. And some of them work, some of them don't. Here I was working beards, just playing around with beards. The convenient thing about having a sketchbook is now these don't get lost like the envelopes. But I still do a lot more stuff with envelopes than I do with sketchbook. On these pages, I was just focused on hats. So you see a repeat of the beards, but you can see that some of the beards just automatically come out different. This is the only one on this whole page that has a beard like that, and I just kind of last minute threw a little straight line curve in it, and I kind of like the way that one came out. So that'll end up being an ornament. Sometimes the hat comes forward ahead of the hair. Sometimes they're just broken up. And here I was working just with design elements on the hat. And we haven't gone anywhere with them yet, but we're just playing around. So don't be afraid to screw around with a pencil and a piece of paper and design your own stuff. It's easy. You don't have to have any kind of artistic talent or background. All you have to do is know a little bit about the heads and what you're doing. And if you get something like this and you think you want to save it, now you've got something to work with when you go to put it in a sketchbook. I hope this is going to help some of you and let you have the confidence to play around with some of your scrap paper that you're throwing into the garbage anyway. All of these can go the same route as everything else. It goes into the recycle.